Welcome to Om Times TV, a division of Om Times Media and Broadcasting. Welcome to Adventures in Consciousness, the interactive show that offers expansive conversation with pioneering new thought teachers and personal real-time guided journeys into the imaginal realm to access your soul's wisdom and discover how to live your greater story. Here is your host, human potentialist, soul mentor, and consciousness guide, Jennifer Ivanko.
Hello and welcome. Welcome to another Adventures in Consciousness. I'm excited today because I'm going to share with you one of my special interests, and that's about alchemy with our guest, Goura Loto. Goura is from the Federation of Damanhur, and you may have known from earlier shows, Damanhur is a federation of spiritual communities in northern Italy. And it's been called the laboratory for the future of humankind. A worldwide movement that inspires the lives of thousands of people committed to leaving a positive mark on the world. So for more than 15 years, Goura has been specialized in welcoming and guiding people from all over the world as they come to explore the Federation of Damanhur with its magnificent temples. As a transformational travel coach and a meditation facilitator, she has led journeys around the world directed towards self-discovery and in connection with nature. She became a student of the transformative art of alchemy and rituality over 20 years ago, studying directly under Falco Tarassaco, Damanhur's main founder and inspirer. Today, she is co-creator and an instructor for the Damanhur School of Alchemy and Rituality. Welcome, Goura.
Thank you for hosting me here. Very pleased.
I'm very excited. I met you, I can't believe it's almost 10 years ago when I first came to Damanhur. And I traveled there with my teacher at the time, who's one of the pioneers in human potential, Jean Houston. And I was struck right away by the sense of everything that we are studying outside in the States and different places is being lived in Damanhur, like this human potential, this search for your greater capacities is really being explored and lived there.
It is. Well, when I came here, I've been living here for 22 years now. And my heart guided me here, basically, because my spiritual journey started much before, but I didn't know exactly what I was looking for. And I met different, I would say, teachers on my journey, leading me to different kind of spiritualities. What I knew was that I was looking for something alternative, not only, a spiritual path together with, a traditional way of living, but I was looking for an alternative way of living where spirituality could be applied every day. So, 23 years ago, my sister told me about the existence of Damanhur. And in that period of my life, I was planning to move to Central America. And my sister suggested me to come here and to see the place before leaving. And I came, I visited the temples of humankind, and I decided to stay. I've never left since then. So that's why I'm saying that my heart, it was a hard choice. So it's nothing rational.
It's interesting because for many people who are in my audience here who have never been there, what is it about Damanhur? Is there some quality that made you just want to stay there?
Well, I didn't know at that time because I didn't know nothing about Damanhur. I arrived here as a visitor. So my sister told me about the temples of humankind. I came, just to visit. And what happened exactly is that when I entered in the temples, I was caught completely, not only through my eyes and the beauty that I saw there, but my heart was caught. And when I entered one of the halls of the temple called the Hall of Water, well, in that space, I saw a specific symbol that I realized in that very moment that I have dreamt before, few months before. And that for me was, it was a hook. It was the confirmation of my feeling, because I had the feeling of, of being back at home since I entered in the temples. And while I was visiting, and then one of the last halls was the Hall of Water, I found myself in front of this symbol among many, because this hall is plenty. It's full of symbolism, of drawings, of names, of divinities, of many things. But that symbol, attracted my attention, and I realized that I dreamt it before. So that was the confirmation that I was in the right place at the right moment, and that my decision was taken.
It's interesting that there thousands of people have visited Damanhur, and hundreds and hundreds of people live in that area. And you can find many stories like the one you just told of people just being caught. Synchronicity? Yes? Magic?
Well, I think that is a mix of things. Well, of course, when you are on a spiritual journey, and so you are more and more connected to your soul, synchronicity increases. Synchronicity works following the laws of the universe. Each one is one of the laws of the universe, but it is, let's say that you become more aware of it when you are adding complexity on your life. And to undergo a spiritual process, from my perspective, is to go through, on a deeper level of yourself. So on a more complex level of you. So synchronicity become more more clear. Let's say you are able to see what's happening around you as synchronic events. You recognize them, and you give, a deeper meaning to them, to support, to give, to support the spiritual process.
It's interesting too. I think you mentioned you were ready to move to South America, so you were in this place of kind of curiosity and wonder and exploration to begin with, and that might be another important quality.
Yes, and then is not only, I think, that when you are looking for your soul purpose, for your gift, what's the service, what are you here for on this planet, on a greater scale. I think that you also connect, to previous life experiences. So it's like, reconnecting all the dots of this lifetime together with the previous experiences that have led you here, where you are, at the point where you are, at the level of awareness that you have. And so you start also dreaming. Well, another very incredible experience that I've done when I arrived, in Damanhur for the first time, that I was visiting after the temple visit. I stayed here a few days longer, and then I went back to Florence, where I was living at that time. And I started dreaming people, during my sleeping time. I was dreaming many people that I didn't know, people that were laughing, that were, joyful, happy. And well, at that time, I didn't give a lot of importance, to these dreams. But then when I came back to Damanhur after a few months to stay here permanently, I met the people of my dreams that I dreamt in those 2 months, prior my arrival. That was crazy, because after 2 months I arrived here and I was walking around, seeing other places, communities, etc., meeting other people. And sometimes I was, just shocked. I said, but you were in my dreams. I dreamt you and I didn't know you. So is connecting, is a process of reconnection.
And I think that's another draw when you first go to Damanhur, that feeling of so much depth, like you said, so many layers. And this dream layer it's another one that I've heard from other people, similar stories. Amazing. And we can keep going on talking about Damanhur, but what I really want to talk to you today about is alchemy, because
Yes.
I know that's been your passion and your research. So let's start first about how you came to alchemy. What, you studied with this amazing teacher. Can you tell me a little about that?
Well, my passion of alchemy started in the very beginning of Damanhur without knowing, because as soon as I arrived here, I decided to be part of a spiritual way of Damanhur called nuns and monks, which is a spiritual path that focuses on alchemy, on inner transformation, so on discipline, basically, because nuns and monks, also in many other traditions, are people that are called, to undergo a process of discipline to access deeper layers within and also outside of you. So again, I did this choice without, any rationality involved. I decided to undergo this path. I became a nun, and I've been a nun here for 11 years. So, and I've learned through discipline how important it is for me to step out from my habitual way of thinking, to step out from my comfort zones, that gave me security. So embracing such a discipline, that includes, dietary guidelines, spiritual practices, study, being at service for others, rituals, a lot of devotional work. For me, it was really something that I've never explored before. So I was just, accessing a very unknown territory. But I decided to do it. And at first, I decided to do it for 1 year and then to renew my choice. And that 1 year became 11 years. And it was, for me, that experience is still one of the most profound experiences I ever made. Because if you do not, I wouldn't have been able to, to change many things of me if I didn't embrace a discipline to support this transformational process. So to consciously choose and to re-choose constantly, a discipline, some guidelines to follow. Because, yes, well, before that time, I didn't even know what discipline was. So I give thanks, still, I would say now the courage, because if you met me before that experience, you would understand what I'm talking about. I was far from being a nun, and to embrace a spiritual and disciplined path.
So this was your path into alchemy, was doing this.
Yes, this was my entrance into alchemy, because in this spiritual path of Damanhur, people takes care of many, not only inner transformation, of course, that you undergo through this process, but also traditional alchemy in Damanhur takes care of the preparation of all the instruments, the liquids, the perfumes, the gestures that we perform during ceremonies and meditations, basically. So is, the preparation of yourself, for a ceremony to access other dimensions, plus all the physical things that you need when you perform a ceremony. So the monks were in charge of this.
So you don't have to be a nun or monk to do the alchemy, but you
Of course not. So alchemy is really a very vast field of knowledge. It embraces, every aspect of life, and the most important alchemy of this very epoch, from our perspective, is the alchemy that leads you to reawake yourself, to reawake your divine nature. It is very, very articulated. So alchemy span from social alchemy, inner transformational processes, reconnecting to nature, to elements, to all living beings, having, also guidelines in your manifestations. So reconnecting harmoniously also with yourself, with your many different parts, to access your potential, to discover who you really are, your gifts, your passions, your talents, and also, to retrain yourself to express the best of you, but also to use this magical three-dimensional structure we have, which is the body, on its physical, energetic, and psychic level. So
it's an internal, you're talking about the internal research going the body, as well as you're in the perfect playground for alchemy with the sacred woods and the different temples and things you have there.
yes, I feel that I'm in a magical place. Well, there's a lot of energies here, and at the same time, what I experience is that the magical aspect of life is a matter of your internal universe. So the reality we all perceive is a projection of who you are, of your internal inner universe. So the more you expand your perception, not only on the physical level, but beyond it, and the more you might be able to perceive life, as magical. Everything, and magic, magic is now, in 2023, to talk about magic, you might think about, I don't know, just, an enchanted view of life. But it's not only that. Magic is a science. It was a science in ancient times. And in our Damanhurian alchemy, we use, ancient knowledges to become creators of our life, to be able not only to create our own life, but to guide our process of evolution. So to guide the process of evolution, depending, of course, on the goals you have, the objectives you have, but to be able to be your own guidance. Is a very, very fascinating field, and we use in alchemy many tools. So we use physical, magical instruments. We use rituals. We use practices. We use also, food to change on a molecular level our body. We use thoughts, intentionally, emotions. So to know yourself better and to use, the incredible alchemical laboratory you have, which is the body, to evolve, to grow, to go deeper.
So when you first started in alchemy, what was like some of your first experiences? Or if I'm just starting in alchemy, how would I experience what alchemy is as a very beginner?
Well, the very first step is, to know yourself. Like the ancient Greek were saying, know yourself and you will know the universe. This is a big truth. So, I mean, to be is the truth. To be in the deepest sense you can imagine. So to reconnect to your consciousness is the truth. So I mean, in alchemy we start from knowing ourselves better. So important is well, first of all, to know better how your body works, how your energetic structure works, how your mind works. I mean, to be able to transform it eventually. I give you an example because it's easier to understand. It makes it easier. For example, in the average human have many negative thoughts. Negative thoughts towards oneself, towards others. Normally what we do is, to project on others our expectations. We project responsibility on others, and we perceive many times, negative feelings towards ourselves, towards others. So negative thinking is not elevating your frequencies. So it maintains you on a low frequency. So everything in the universe is vibration, is information plus vibration. So the more you are able to elevate, so to elevate your thoughts, meaning to transform, positively your thoughts, and the more you might be able to access, also vibrating in different frequencies and attracting corresponding things. Because in alchemy we use what we use are the three laws of magic. That's the way we call them. So similar frequencies responds to similar frequencies. And we humans, we are like antennas, So we are constantly emitting frequencies through the way we are, through the way we think. Our energy field, what we generally call aura, is made of, frequencies, vibrations, that they are the result of who we are. So imagine if you keep thinking negatively, if you are depressed, if you're suffering, I mean, which kind of frequencies frequencies will respond to you? And the opposite.
Exactly.
So in alchemy, we learn, to change intentionally our thoughts. Also emotions that you might feel. You might think that emotions are something that rise in you, because of an external event, because of something external. It's not. You can distill within you, independently from what's happening outside of you, any kind of emotion. So we teach, systems and methods to do this to start with, to become more aware of the power we have, to create constantly who we want to be. And yes.
I love this example, and the way you're speaking, it brings it into the science you were talking about. It's making it something that seems, emotions and thoughts, we just live with them and all the time, but to actually be able to distill them or to use them in my evolution and understand that idea of the antenna. It's wonderful.
Yes, so we start with the exercises, of attention. So what humanity, is lacking of, and first of all me, so I'm belonging to humanity too, is lack of attention, of being present to what you are doing, what you are experiencing now, here and now. So we are constantly distracted by, the many thoughts, the many events we go through in our daily life, difficulties, but also successes. Not necessarily difficulties, but we are always constantly distracted by the media, distracted by what's happening in the world, distracted by the husband, by children, taking care of family. We're constantly distracted, and we constantly live projected, in the next moment or in the past. We're never where we are. So this is what we learn, in alchemy. The very first thing is to be present.
Well, very good. We're going to go to break now, but when we come back, I'd like to talk a little bit more about alchemy and the magical woods that you live near. And we'll go into some of that. So come stay with us. We'll be right back.
Real Conscious Connection. Om Times Radio. IOM FM. Om Times Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Om Times, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of Om Times Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going Om. My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers, pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
There is no greater mystery in life than you. So why not take a fully experiential plunge into the depths of your being to uncover and retrieve all the secrets and wisdom your soul is crying out for you to know? If you enjoy Adventures in Consciousness, the conversation, you'll love Adventures in Consciousness, the course. Join Jennifer in this unique 13-week series of journeys specifically designed to unlock the mysteries of yourself. Each week, you'll journey progressively deeper into the meta realm, where, freed from the limitations of your mind, you'll get to play and explore the inner and outer reaches of your awareness. The next series of Adventures in Consciousness, the course, is starting soon. Find out more and stake your place at jenniferivanco.com.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly.
Lights out.
Good night. And put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
Welcome back. You're listening to Adventures in Consciousness, the conversation with my guest, Goura Loto. Goura is from Damanhur, Italy. Damanhur is a eco-spiritual community in northern Italy, and we are excited to be talking to her about alchemy. Before we left, we were talking about a concrete example of what it's like to be a student of alchemy to begin. And I also read about the Philosopher's Stone, how you said in your website that it is this idea of what alchemy is right now. If you can tell us once more about what is alchemy.
What was researched in ancient time was the philosophical stone, but the philosophical stone were identified with a substance able to transmute, to transform metals, base metals into gold. And well, the philosopher's stone of today for us is to reawake our divine being, our consciousness. So to re-enlight this spark, this consciousness we host, to express the maximum potential we have in this, on this planet, basically. So this is the actual philosopher's stone of today, of alchemists.
And actually in the temples, you have a hall of metals that kind of relates people, different ages to the different metals, right?
Exactly. Yes, the hall of metals in the underground temples is the space dedicated to inner transformation during the different phases of life. Yes. So in the different phases of life, we would need to experience, precise experiences, to be able to move forward in the spiritual process of growth of our soul, during a lifetime or more lifetimes. And is a constant learning. So the beauty, what I love is to approach to everything, to life in general, in a very alchemical way. I define it an alchemical way, but to approach, as if life is your learning ground. So anything, from anyone, you can learn something, and you can make it useful, for yourself, for your own process.
There's so many, I imagine so much in Damanhur is that way, the ability to look at the nature outside, or the temples, or the people living in community. It's all different experiences, kind of researching yourself. Yes?
Yes. Yeah. Well, in Damanhur, our reality was born to create, let's say, the ideal place where people could express their best and their potential. Of course, is always working in progress. So what I've understood from my 22 years here in a community, living in a community, is that you cannot change others. You need only to change yourself, to change your reality. That's what you need to do. And to live constantly with other people is a challenge, of course, is a challenge every day, but is also a great source of self-knowing. Of knowing yourself is a great source.
Especially
So
when you can
using
have
it.
a playground, if you can keep
Sorry?
it, especially when you can keep it like a playground and keep it light.
This is the secret. Yes. This is the secret because, in your own process, by knowing you more, for sure, you will encounter not only the positive sides, but also your negative sides. Plus, living with others, it means also to see others, positive and negatives. And when you focus, because our culture, at least my culture, the way I was brought up, they taught me not to see the most beautiful things, the most positive aspects, but to see always the negative. I don't know why, but this is where I come from. So for me, it was, it took a lot of work on me to shift on the other side. So now, after many years, I can say that I see the positive in others first and in life, but it wasn't this way, years ago.
I think it's important. That's part of the journey. I tend to see the positive in people, and it's important to see the shadow side as well, so you can really see the depth of the real person in front of you. So you need to.
Everything is important. So everything is there, for a purpose. There's nothing that happens by chance, and also the many aspects you contain, they are there for you to access the maximum. But you need to know them, to welcome them, to accept them. I mean, the first step is starting loving yourself. Not, of course, in a selfish way, but if you do not love who you are, it's difficult that you are able to love someone else and to manifest, to express love towards others.
And to be present, like you were saying before.
Yes.
So we talked about being present and being this transformation, inner transformation that you start with. But then there's that magical forest. I haven't talked much about we've talked about the temples quite a bit on this show, but we haven't talked about the magical woods there and alchemy.
Well, the woods, this what we call here in Damanhur sacred woods, is a beautiful area located above the underground temples. And there we have many stone circuits for walking meditations. We have colorful pyramids, nature. I mean, that place for us is, the temple of plants, first of all. The temple of plants together with nature, with animals, and all the subtle energies, entities, and spirits that are inhabiting nature. So I'm living there. I'm.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know?
No.
I've been living there for 11 years now. And I cannot stay far too long from that place because, to live there is an immersion in this complexity where, there is a very respectful approach towards nature. I mean, the human beings living there, and we are about 25 people. I mean, what is required to be there and to, and to perceive the energy of this place is to reconnect, with nature, to reconnect on a deeper level. So to become, more conscious that you are part of a greater system. And you need to live in harmony. So the way we live there in the sacred woods is I mean, to become more and more respectful, I mean, to be aware that we are hosted there. You know, we are not the ones, you know, deciding for the plants or what needs to be done there. Is like tuning in a frequency where you listen first to what the plants have to tell you, or spirits, entities, they're telling you, and then you act. So that's why in that place we have a very special tree, which is considered the mother tree. And in our tradition, in our, you know, daily life, in our way of living, every time we need to do some work in the woods, from cutting the grass, cutting a tree because it's sick, or do some, you know, some changes in the environment, we go and have a meditation, a communication with this tree.
Wow.
So we, yes, with the mother tree, and then we listen to the answers. And yes, if the answer we perceive is okay, do it, okay, cut the grass, okay, cut the tree, or we do it. If not, we do not.
It's interesting. Damanhur is very large and very complex. You have many
Yes.
different communities within Damanhur. So you're talking about, you know, there's almost 600 people that live in Damanhur,
Yes.
and 20 of them live in this sacred forest.
Hmm.
But I wanted to point out or mention my experience. There is a consciousness about everything that's done in Damanhur, about a presence, I guess, as you said, that alchemical presence that makes it richer just by being there. You just more enlivened, deeper.
See, basically, alchemy, which is transformation, is the, let's say, the extra value, the most that you can extract from any interaction. Because, I mean, our talk, for example, for sure, I mean, is changing within us something. So my interaction with you and my, you know, and listening to your words, they are changing something within me. Then it depends on the meaning I give, you know, to those, to this talk we're having. But everything is alive. So in this universe, in this physical dimension, everything is, let's say, permeated by consciousness. And by becoming aware of it, so we can have a more alive interconnection with everything. This is alchemy.
So for 40 years, 40 plus years, Damanhur has been focusing on this, on being present, on this consciousness. And so it has a powerful effect then when you 22 years ago went and visited, or I 10 years ago, you feel it at those deeper levels that call to you. Like, what is this? You know?
Well, I can tell you honestly that, you know, when I arrived here, I couldn't understand anything, you know, because I was not really, I mean, I'm still sleeping a lot, but at that time I was sleeping more than today. So I was less aware of everything, because before that time, you know, I've never went in deeper into spirituality. So all the topics, the knowledges that were discussed here, I mean, the majority for me was just, you know, not understandable. But at the same time, I mean, I was not understanding on a rational basis, but I was feeling a lot.
And
So yes, I mean, I was feeling a lot of things, perceiving a lot of things, with through intuition, through dreaming, through the more feminine aspects,
Mm.
and I just trusted, I just trusted my perception. And I'm very grateful, still to be here, that I trusted my perception. Now, I mean, in time, and also thanks to alchemy, I went deeper into the many different knowledges, explaining the nature of the universe, explaining the nature of our soul, explaining more in detail, how we are. I mean, technical things for me, theoretical things. And I'm understanding more. But again, knowledge is something alive. So I'm realizing that I'm constantly, going deeper and have different perceptions by reading or listening to the same things.
Mm-hmm.
And that is due to my inner changes, to the change of me. So it is an ongoing learning process.
I think that is one of the biggest magical things that we can become aware of about human potential, is that change outside can stay the same, and as we change, it becomes different. It becomes deeper.
Yes, and I think that this is the magic, because if you think, the average human is constantly focusing on the outside. Okay, so the outside external events. I mean, we are living, I would say, as robots in a very mechanical way, reacting to external events. The magic is that, the biggest and most precious treasure we have has been hidden within ourselves,
Hmm.
which is the consciousness we have. This is the treasure, and this is what makes possible magic, together with knowledges.
Hmm. Beautiful. So we're coming to the end, and I wanted to share a couple of things that you have coming up. We did mention that you are one of the co-founders and a teacher at the Damanhur School of Alchemy and Rituality. Can you tell us a little bit about
Yes.
that? About the
If I
program?
can tell you more about.
About the program. How, if I'm interested, how would I learn more about that and what it is?
Yes, so the alchemy school is a 3-level school, but it starts with a 2-day course that gives you a wider introduction to Damanhurian alchemy, and also experiences, practices that you can do to start with. And we have an upcoming first level that is going to start with this 2-day course that is the starting of the first level of the school, but is also a course in itself. So it can be done also alone, without, then extending the studies of alchemy. And it will be next February, 11, 12 February.
And then you have the Azores. Beautiful.
Ah,
That's what I want to talk about too. Why the Azores, and what brought you there?
well, I've decided to organize journeys to the Azores Islands because I'm very, very attracted to nature. So I've heard about these islands years ago, because a group of Damanhurian people went there to explore, and because the Azores Islands are thought to be the location, the original location of Atlanteans. So Damanhur is very connected to Atlantis, and so I was attracted by these two things. And I decided I said to myself, why don't you connect these two passions you have? On one side, inner transformation, and on the other, nature. So from the combination of the two, I've chosen to go to the Azores Islands, and I fell in love with this place because it's so rich in terms of plant species, animal species, so green everywhere. Is a very sustainable place where people are very respectful towards, the preciousness they have, the natural environment. So these many elements together brought me to organize transformational journeys, alchemical journeys there. And yes, they will start next May.
Beautiful. So you can find more out about Damanhur and the School of Alchemy by going to damanhuralchemyschool.org. And you have
Yes.
a trip there as well?
Not yet, but in the next days, it will be on. Yes, it will be online.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And we will also share that information with this show. So you'll have it at the description.
Thank you.
Thank you, Goura, for joining us. And I look forward to talking to you more in the future about alchemy and some of your journey. I think this was a good start. There's so much more. There's such a deep subject. We can go into some many details.
There's a lot vastness there.
Well, thank you so much. And I'd like to tell my guests, our audience, that our next gathering in 2 weeks, we will be doing an experiential journey into the elements and into kind of a Sanskrit meditation that I like to lead that talks about manifesting and creating through elements. And also on Mondays, we have Manifesting Mondays. So if you'd like to find out more about that, please visit jenniferivanko.com. And thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time. Namaste.
Thank you.